Have you ever looked at your life as a mom and thought, who even am I anymore? I definitely have. But what if I told you the secret to finding yourself again isn't about survival or just like working harder. It's about making you feel like you are the main character in your story, and not in like a selfless way, but just in a you deserve to be a whole person kind of way. When I became a mom, I quickly realized that my life was not really about me anymore. My time was not my own. My body was not my own. Everything as I knew it had changed in like the blink of an eye. At least that's how it felt. That might sound really obvious to say now, but it's just not that obvious before you go through it. Like, it's really hard to picture how much is going to change when you have kids if you haven't experienced it before. So it's kind of those things you kind of have to learn on your own. And let me tell you, the lesson was hard, at least for me in my postpartum season. My adjustment was really tough. I'm not proud to admit that. I wanted to be someone who just very naturally fell into motherhood, but I don't know that that's how I would describe my story, especially after going back to work full time while having an infant at home. Like, it was really hard for me. It was a really hard adjustment for me. And the combination of like my postpartum hormones plus working full time plus the sleeplessness, it sent me into a decently dark place. Don't get me wrong, I was obsessed with my baby. She was the most perfect angel child present gift that I'd ever been given, and I was enamored with her. It was just all the stuff around it that was hard. It was just life that was hard. I tried to like get back into the routine that I was used to pre-baby and like tried to become the person that I was before I had a child at work and in my relationships and in my marriage, and it just didn't work because I wasn't that person anymore. Long story short, I just felt like I was flailing around. I was like trying to figure out how to be a mom. How do I handle like not sleeping? How do I nurse? How do I this and that? And like also do all the other things that people are expecting me to do. And then one day I woke up and I was like, wait a second, this is not how it's supposed to be. I don't think we're supposed to just survive this. I don't think we're supposed to just like get through it and like pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. There's gotta be a better way. And that's when I discovered the art of romanticizing my life. And today I'm going to share exactly how I reinvented myself, how I found my confidence again, and how I turned my like daily grind of motherhood into something worth romanticizing. And no, this is not just about like lighting a candle or taking a bubble bath, although those things are great. First thing you need to do is define your why. You've probably heard people talk about this in all sorts of different how-to videos, but this is crucial, especially when it comes to motherhood, because it's not obvious what your why is. Everybody's why is going to be different. For me, it was realizing that I wanted my daughter to grow up with a mom that she looked up to. I wanted her to see this picture of womanhood and like motherhood that she could be proud of, that I could be proud of. I didn't want her to see someone that was just surviving and like just getting through the days. I wanted her to see someone that was content and joyful and like full of life, and I was not operating as that person when I started this journey. So that was really crucial to me, and that was the why that I held on to and still to this day hold on to anytime I have to reset my mindset a little bit. There's so much like relatable mom content out there that's basically just a big joke about how hard this is. And I feel like people are posting stuff all the time about like, oh, I just gotta get to 5 o'clock for my mom juice glass of wine and yada yada. And it never sat right with me. I understand where that's coming from, and I think it's fine to like laugh about things that are hard, and I have a little bit of a dark sense of humor too, and don't get me wrong, like my friends and I definitely complain about components of motherhood in our little group chat, but it's not the ethos by which I want to get through motherhood. I don't think that's the end all be all of like how it's gotta be. I think there's another way, and so that's what I said. I said, this isn't for me. I'm not gonna be the like relatable, I hate everything mom. I'm going to be a joyful and content mom, and I've got to figure out how to do that. So that was my why, becoming a version of a woman and a mom that I could be proud of, that enjoyed her life, that was able to savor the moments and weather the ups and downs with grace. I don't know what your why is. It's probably going to be different than mine. Maybe it's just feeling better in your own skin. Maybe it's having more energy. Maybe it's having more confidence, or just the ability to show up differently in the world or for your kids. I don't know what it is, but I would definitely encourage you to think critically about it and make sure that that's the thing that's really going to drive you through this change that we're going to talk about today. Like, you have to have a why that anchors you, or when the going gets tough, you're just gonna give up, and I don't want that for you. So think about what your why is and put it in the comments below, because I'd love for us to all be inspired by each other. Okay, the next step is to romanticize your daily routine. Now, what does this even mean? I heard this quote one time, I think maybe I read it in a book actually, that was talking about how if you picture yourself like at, let's say, dusk, okay, so it's like that golden hour outside, and you walk by your house and you look in through the windows from the outside, like what are you gonna see? A family that's making dinner, maybe eating dinner together, even if they're eating dinner in front of the TV. Like, you're seeing a house that's full of life and signs of life, and so it's a little bit messy, and there's love there, and there's just this communal aspect of your home. And if you see that from the outside perspective, it's gonna feel cozy and warm and romantic and like all the things that you had hoped and wished for when you started a family. When you're in the house, it's so hard to look at it that way. What you see is like the mess and the dishes and the TV's on again and the kids are late for bedtime. Like, what you see is the day-to-day like crap, but from the outside perspective, it looks like this really beautiful picture, and the only thing that's different about the two views there is where you're standing. So the idea of romanticizing your life is trying to find a way to have that vantage point all the time. Make it romantic, make it everything that it is. You just sometimes can't see it when you're in it. This isn't about fancy vacations or like Instagram worthy home makeovers or whatever. This is about your actual real life and learning how to love and find joy in the very mundane aspects of motherhood. I started this process with my morning coffee. My morning coffee is a ritual for me. It is very important to me and no one will take it from me. And so I decided that was the first place I was going to start when it came to like romanticizing my routine. So I would have Apple Music play the like chill jazz playlist, and I would light a candle, and I would just like savor those moments. When my baby was itty bitty, I would wear her during this, and we were like close and snuggled up while I'm like making my coffee. When she got a little older, she was in her little bouncer, like watching it happen, and sometimes I would give her a little shaker of beans that she could shake around and listen to, and she loved that. Like, all the different stages of motherhood, I'm still embracing this part of my routine and making it feel like cozy and romantic and vibey, because it's something I do every single day, and so it sets the tone for the rest of my day in like a really meaningful way. Some other examples of how to do this would be to like get ready every day. I know that sounds a little crazy, and I am clearly not opposed to like leggings and a sweatshirt, but sometimes just getting ready, doing your hair, putting on makeup can just like it just boosts your energy, it boosts your confidence in a way that is really hard to describe, but can be really meaningful if you're someone who gets energy from that. I also am a firm believer in adding joy into your daily tasks. So when I'm like doing laundry or like cleaning the house or vacuuming or whatever, like I will put in a podcast or an audiobook about something that I'm interested in to just like add a little bit of joy to that task. I personally run a business, and so I am constantly trying to like learn about marketing and advertising and all these things that I am not naturally good at. And so even though I'm folding laundry, I'm listening to an audiobook about like social media marketing. And that is so helpful for me because not only am I killing two birds with one stone, I'm like multitasking, which is beneficial, but also I feel like I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in my personal growth, in my professional growth, and ultimately my financial growth, which is all so important and adds a little bit of joy to the like otherwise kind of mundane thing that I'm doing, like folding laundry. Maybe for you that's listening to like, I don't know, true crime podcasts or some sort of like breakdown of the latest episode of Love is Blind. I don't know what your thing is, but adding joy into like your mundane little tasks that you have to do all the time is such a crucial hack and like romanticizing your life and just enjoying your routine a little bit more. The last one I'll say that kind of leads me into the larger like weight loss part of this conversation is making movement enjoyable. Movement in motherhood is a challenge because you feel like you're constantly fighting for you time, and sometimes when you have those pockets of time, the last thing you want to do is exercise. But if you find ways to move your body that you actually enjoy, it stops feeling like that. So when my daughter was little enough to still be in like those little skip hop like saucers, I would bring her to the workout with me, and I would make it a challenge for me to find ways to like engage her during that time. Or I would do a stroller workout, or I would take her to the park and we'd go for walks, and I would embrace that as like not just moving my body, but also a moment for her to like get some fresh air and see the world. And like we would talk about trees and birds and all the things, and it was just a really beautiful way to sort of combine like something that I needed for me and my health, which was movement, with another component of motherhood that I loved, which was engaging with my child and spending time with her and teaching her things. And I think there's a lot of ways you can move your body that aren't just like 60 minutes in a gym and it looks this very specific way. Like there's ways you can do it that are enjoyable, that are family inclusive, that are a little bit more approachable in the chaos of motherhood, and you have to find what those things are for you and then make a habit out of them. Again, this idea of romanticizing your routine, the goal is not to just avoid hard moments altogether, because that's impossible, and if you figure out how to do that, please let me know. The goal is to savor and enjoy the mundane, like everyday moments in between, so that it's just easier to weather those storms when they do come. The next thing I want to talk about is embracing the power of small habits. I think if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that as a mom, you don't have a lot of time. You certainly don't have a lot of time for yourself. And if you do, you really don't have a lot of time for like a whole brand new routine. So trying to start this new like health and wellness journey, like from square one, can feel really intimidating. And it's the reason why a lot of women just don't do it all together. But I am here to tell you, and I'm living proof of this, 45 pounds down, that small habits can lead to really big changes. When I started my postpartum weight loss journey, there was no way I could like do 60-minute workouts in a gym 5 times a week. That just was definitely not gonna happen. So I started with little things. I started with a 10-minute walk each day. I started with drinking more water. I tried to make protein and vegetables a larger part of my plate at every meal. Like little bitty changes that I just did over and over and over again ended up leading to really significant change. And the other big thing that I focused on in this season was my mindset. I no longer was thinking about health and wellness as something that I needed to take things out of my life. Like I wasn't taking out carbs or I wasn't taking out dessert, whatever. But I was trying to figure out, how do I add more joy and more meaning and value into my health and wellness journey each and every day? Instead of thinking like, oh, I can't eat that, I would think like, what can I eat that would feel like healthy and energizing to my body? And lo and behold, I would make like a Greek yogurt bowl with like kiwi and berries, and it would be colorful and beautiful and very Pinterest-esque. And it just felt like I was adding into my life and not taking away from it. Those two changes, small habits and adding versus subtracting, made a huge difference for me. And like I said, I lost 45 pounds postpartum doing these really small things. If you want more specifics about like the actual workouts I was doing and the type of food I was eating and things like that, I have a whole video about that 45-pound postpartum weight loss, and I will link it here. But the main idea is small steps over time lead to really big change. Okay, next up is the idea of making yourself like the main character. What does this even mean? When I first started hearing about people talking about like main character energy on the internet, I was tempted to sort of reject that notion entirely. I am someone who doesn't believe that your life should revolve around you. I don't know that that's a very healthy way of thinking or living. I want to live a life of service. I want to be of service to the people around me. And when I spend too much time thinking about myself, I'm suddenly like discontent and insecure, and I just do a lot of like navel gazing, and I miss all the beauty around me. So I am not here to tell you to be the main character in your story for purposes of like focusing entirely on you and not thinking about anyone else. However, in motherhood, it is so easy to lose yourself and to forget that you are like a whole, like living, breathing human being who is worthy of love and care and water and sunshine, just like everybody else. And so when I talk about main character energy, I'm talking about reclaiming that right, that fundamental right of humanity to take care of yourself, to be taken care of by you, by the people around you, by your routines, etc. So that's what I mean when I talk about main character energy. How do you do that as a busy mom who has a million other things going on? Okay, first up, and this is going to sound kind of silly, but I actually love this, which is to build a soundtrack for your life. As the main character of your story, you need a soundtrack, girl. You need some good music. I actually did this on Spotify, and I called it like my Hot Mom playlist, which is ridiculous, and please don't go look for it because it's probably embarrassing. But it was really helpful for me because when I'm feeling down or I'm feeling discouraged or I just kind of feel like lost in the like gray matter of life, I will put on my Hot Mom playlist, and you better believe that puts me in a good mood. So whatever your version of that is, like I would very strongly encourage you to like make a playlist or like a Pinterest board or a vision board or something that just reminds you like who you are and like what your core vibe is and what your energy is and like what your purpose is, because I think it's easy to forget that in motherhood, and the whole goal of this is to remember and to be anchored by it. Another part of being main character in your story is romanticizing self-care. You have to take care of yourself, and that does mean like working out and eating well and nourishing your body and getting good sleep, but it also sometimes means things like doing your skincare routine and taking a bubble bath and like getting a massage and doing things that are just for you and just for filling your cup. You are worthy of that, and I know motherhood tries to tell us that we are last on the list of priorities, but there is a balance to be struck there, because if you never focus any energy or attention on yourself, that's going to breed a whole different kind of discontentment and just ugliness and inability to be your best self for yourself and your family in its own way. Romanticize your self-care, make a cup of tea, get out your journal, text a friend, read a book, whatever it is for you, make it a part of your daily routine. And then the other big thing that main characters do is they celebrate the small wins, okay? And in motherhood, a lot of the wins are small, and we have to celebrate them because that fosters a really deep enjoyment and gratitude for this beautiful journey of motherhood that is sometimes difficult. So celebrating small wins is key. Maybe Maybe this is like getting a full night of sleep, or not losing your patience in a moment where you might normally have lost your patience, or making a new friend at the park in the like stroller moms group. Like celebrate these small wins so that you are constantly in the practice of gratitude. You're in the practice of enjoying your life and being grateful for the little things and celebrating the little things, because at the end of the day, that's really what makes up the bulk of life. The big moments are few and far between, but celebrating little wins can be an all day, every day type of thing. When was the last time you stopped and like treated yourself to something that you love just because you love it? For me, it was getting this coffee, I'm not gonna lie to you. So apparently I'm very good at this, but in a true, like deep, more meaningful way. Like when was the last time you did that? It's so easy as moms to not do that. And I'm just here to tell you that you are worth it. Okay, so what was the end result of this whole long journey? Well, as I mentioned, I did lose 45 pounds, which obviously was wonderful. I felt amazing, I felt strong, I felt confident. I was able to wear the jeans that I wore before I had a baby, which was great for me financially and physically, but so much else changed too. And it all came down to like having a why, romanticizing my daily routine, embracing small habits, and becoming the main character in my life. I learned to love life more. I was a happier, more content version of myself. It wasn't this like overnight change where I woke up and suddenly I was like super poly-optimism. Like I wasn't ignoring the hard parts of life. I was just better at handling them. I was more grounded. I was more content. I was more grateful, and my relationships improved. My husband got on board. Like he started embracing this with me, and we would like put on, French cooking music playlists when we were cooking dinner, or we spent a lot more time outside as a family. And it just kind of became this thing that sort of snowballed and grew into like a whole family ethos that has blessed our lives in ways I cannot explain to you. Ultimately, it took the like boring mom life vibe just like away. Nothing felt boring anymore. It all kind of had this layer of like magic or joy or enjoyment or opportunity. Even if it didn't feel magical yet, I knew, because I had learned how to do it, that there was an opportunity there. There was an opportunity to make it feel magical or more meaningful, or find a way to add joy into it. It was just such a shift in my mindset when I stopped thinking about motherhood as something I just had to survive and like hope that like it would get better in the next season, and say like, no, this season, with all its warts and all of its difficult parts and the sleeplessness and whatever else, this season is still a gift, and it can still be beautiful, and I can still enjoy it. I just have to be the one to change. And so I did, in these small, very sustainable, somewhat simple ways. It's not easy to do, but it's simple to do. And I'm just here to tell you that my life is different because of it. And if I can do this, starting from like the depths of the postpartum woes to now, I'm telling you, you can do it too, because these really are small changes. You just have to commit to doing them. And that all starts with knowing what your why is, because your why will drive you every single day. Every day you will wake up and think, I want to be a mom who XYZ. And because of that, I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to choose to have joy in this moment. I'm going to make this fun for me and my daughter, instead of it being like a chore that we just have to survive. Like I'm going to find a way to enjoy this and make the most of it every single day. And eventually it becomes second nature. It doesn't feel like effort anymore. So there you go. Define your why. Start small, romanticize your daily routines, and embrace being the main character of your life, which just means taking care of yourself and knowing that you are worthy of being taken care of. Again, I would love to know what your why is, so drop it down in the comments below. And if you like this kind of content that's like realistic, somewhat holistic wellness in the context of motherhood stuff, I post new videos every week, and I would love for you to subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.